I always thought my 30th birthday would be different. Maybe a surprise party, a romantic getaway, or at least a cake that wasn't passive-aggressively decorated with "Happy Birthday to our special daughter-in-law" in Linda's perfect cursive handwriting. I'm Lucy, and this is the story of how I burned my life to the ground and smiled while I watched it happen. "Open it, dear! Jason and I picked it out specially for you!" Linda chirped, her perfectly manicured hands clasped together in anticipation. The wrapped package sat heavy in my lap, mocking me with its pristine pink bow. I could feel Jason's eyes on me, that familiar half-smirk playing on his lips, the same look he'd given me last week when I discovered he'd borrowed another $5,000 from our savings for his latest business venture. "Come on, babe. Mom spent ages choosing this," he urged, already reaching for his phone, probably texting that Zoe woman again about their revolutionary startup idea. I peeled back the paper, my stomach already knotting. Inside was a glossy brochure and enrollment papers for something called The Modern Homemaker's Journey, Becoming the Wife He Deserves. "It's a 12-week course," Linda beamed. "They teach everything: cooking, cleaning, household budgeting, even how to properly support your husband's ambitions." She leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Heaven knows you could use some guidance in that department." The room went quiet. Even the ceiling fan seemed to hold its breath. "Wow," I managed, my voice eerily calm. "This is something." "Mom's right, Lucy," Jason chimed in, not looking up from his phone. "You've been so distant lately. Maybe this could help us get back on track." I thought about the double shifts I'd been pulling at work to cover his failed cryptocurrency investment, about the promotion I'd turned down because he needed me to be more present during his juice bar phase, about the dreams I'd packed away, one by one, like Christmas ornaments you know you'll never use again. "Thank you, Linda. This is very thoughtful." The words tasted like acid. "Oh, sweetie." She reached over to pat my hand. "We just want what's best for you. You know that, right?" I nodded, forcing a smile that felt like it might crack my face. Later that night, after Jason had fallen asleep, still clutching his phone, I sat in our home office, staring at my laptop screen. The law school application form glowed back at me, cursor blinking in the personal statement field. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "How was the birthday dinner? Did mother-in-law behave?" I glanced at the homemaker course brochure, now stuffed in the bottom drawer under old tax returns, then at the framed photo on my desk, Jason and me on our wedding day, 5 years ago. I looked so hopeful then, so sure we'd build something beautiful together. "Perfect," I typed back to Vanessa. Everything was perfect. Opening a new document, I began to write my law school application essay. The words flowed easily now, fueled by something darker than ambition. "Hey!" Jason's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway, hair mussed from sleep. "Coming to bed?" "Just finishing up some work emails," I lied, switching tabs. "Be there in a minute." He yawned, already turning away. "Don't stay up too late. Mom's coming over tomorrow to help you register for that course." I waited until his footsteps faded before opening the application again. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before I started typing. "My desire to pursue law stems from a deep-seated belief in justice." 3 years. That's how long it would take to complete law school part-time. 3 years of secrets, sacrifice, and silent preparation. 3 years to transform myself from the disappointing daughter-in-law into something they'd never see coming. I finished the application at 2 a.m., my hands steady as I clicked submit. Then I went to our bedroom, slipped under the covers beside my oblivious husband, and smiled in the darkness. They wanted a better wife? I'd become their worst nightmare instead. The next morning, I'd act surprised when Linda showed up with her calendar and her suggestions. I'd nod and smile and take notes about proper table settings and the importance of having dinner ready when your husband comes home. But, in my mind, I was already counting down the days until I could serve them something much more satisfying than a home-cooked meal. Revenge, I was learning, is a dish best prepared with patience, and I had all the time in the world. 6 months into law school, and I'd mastered the art of invisibility in my own home. Every night was a carefully choreographed dance of lies and half-truths. Another late meeting? Jason barely looked up from his laptop as I slipped through the front door at 10 p.m., my textbooks hidden in my gym bag. You know how it is during tax season. I kissed his cheek, the gesture as hollow as our joint bank account. Have you eaten? Mom brought lasagna. He gestured toward the kitchen. She's worried about you, by the way. Says you never returned her calls about the homemaker course. I busied myself with putting away my coat. Must have slipped my mind. Work's been crazy. That's all you say lately. Work, work, work. He finally looked at me, frowning. You're different, Lucy. Distant. What Mom thinks isn't always gospel, Jason. The words came out sharper than intended. His face darkened. At least she makes an effort. When's the last time you even cooked dinner? I bit back the response I wanted to give, about his latest failed venture, eating through our savings, about the credit card bills I'd discovered hidden in his desk drawer. Instead, I smiled tiredly. You're right. I'll do better. The next morning, Vanessa cornered me at our usual coffee spot. You look like hell, she said, sliding into the booth. How long can you keep this up? As long as it takes. I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup, savoring its warmth. I aced my contract's midterm yesterday. While your marriage is failing? She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Lucy, this isn't healthy. The secrecy, the revenge planning. You're not yourself anymore. Maybe I'm finally becoming myself, I countered. Before she could respond, my phone buzzed, Linda's name flashing on the screen. I declined the call. That's the 3rd time this morning, I explained to Vanessa's raised eyebrow. She's probably calling about the course again. Or maybe she's genuinely concerned about you. I laughed, the sound bitter even to my own ears. You don't know her like I do. That evening, I came home to voices in the kitchen. I froze in the hallway, my heart pounding. Just not the same anymore. Linda's voice drifted out. She's neglecting her duties as a wife, Jason. I warned you about career women. I know, Mom. Jason sighed. But what can I do? She won't listen. Well, she's certainly not supporting your dreams. That new business opportunity you mentioned. The crypto trading platform? I haven't told her yet, after what happened with the juice bar. Darling, that's exactly the problem. A proper wife should stand behind her husband's ambitions. Instead, she's becoming cold, calculating. I stood there, my law books heavy in my bag, listening to them dissect my failures as a wife. Each word strengthened my resolve. Later that week, I met with Professor Clark during her office hours. Your analysis of the Harrison case was exceptional, she said, studying me over her reading glasses. You have a natural talent for this. Thank you. I hesitated, then added, Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. She set down my paper. Law school is demanding. It's natural to have doubts. It's not just school. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. My husband doesn't know I'm here. His mother, they think I'm taking homemaker courses. Instead of judgment, I saw understanding in her eyes. You know, Lucy, the law isn't just about justice. It's about power, about having the tools to protect yourself. Is that what I'm doing? Protecting myself? Only you can answer that. She handed me back my paper. But whatever you're preparing for, make sure you're ready for the consequences. That night, I found Jason in his home office, surrounded by paperwork. Hey, I said softly, everything okay? Just some investment stuff. He quickly shuffled the papers away. Nothing for you to worry about. I noticed a business card on his desk. Zoe Holmes, financial consultant, before he covered it with other documents. You'd tell me if something was wrong, right? I asked, already knowing the answer. Of course, babe. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Hey, Mom's coming for dinner tomorrow. She wants to discuss something important. I nodded, retreating to our bedroom where my latest legal textbook lay hidden under the mattress. As I pulled it out, a new email notification popped up on my phone. My midterm grades. All A's. Somewhere in the house, I heard Jason on the phone, his voice low and urgent, talking about numbers and deadlines. I opened my textbook to the chapter on family law and started reading. The time for being invisible was coming to an end. The first red flag was the second mortgage. I found the paperwork stuffed behind the printer while searching for a stapler. The second was the lipstick-stained coffee cup in Jason's car. Coral pink, definitely not my shade. But the smoking gun arrived in an unmarked envelope on my desk at work. You might want to see this, the note read, followed by bank statements showing massive transfers to an account I'd never seen before. The signature at the bottom simply read, B. Had to be Bennett, Jason's father, finally showing his hand. I was still staring at the papers when my phone buzzed with Linda's latest text. Darling, we need to discuss Jason's new business venture. He needs our support more than ever, our support, as if she'd ever contributed anything beyond criticism and manipulation. That evening, I arrived home to find Linda already there, perched on our sofa like a vulture in designer clothes. Lucy, dear. She patted the seat beside her. We've been waiting for you. Jason paced near the window, that familiar, excited gleam in his eyes that always preceded financial disaster. Babe, you're not going to believe this opportunity, he started. Zoe and I have been working on something revolutionary. Zoe, I interrupted, watching his face carefully. Your new business partner? Linda jumped in smoothly. Such a lovely girl, so supportive of Jason's vision. Unlike, I prompted, my voice dangerously quiet. Well, dear. Linda's smile turned brittle. Let's be honest. Your attitude lately hasn't been very helpful. Jason needs a wife who understands his potential. His potential to what? Drain our savings again? Jason's face darkened. That's not fair. The juice bar would have worked if... If what? If I'd been more supportive? If I'd smiled prettier while we hemorrhaged money? Lucy, Linda gasped. This negativity is exactly what I'm talking about. A good wife. Would what, Linda? Keep quiet? Look the other way? I pulled out the bank statements. Like looking the other way about this? The color drained from Jason's face. Where did you get those? Does it matter? Want to explain why there's a second mortgage on our house that I never signed for? Or should we discuss the mysterious transfers to... I checked the papers. ZH Enterprises? Linda stood up, smoothing her skirt. I can see you're being hysterical. Jason, darling, perhaps we should discuss this another time. No. I blocked her path to the door. We're discussing it now. All of it. You're neglecting him, Linda hissed. What choice does he have but to seek support elsewhere? Support? Is that what we're calling it? Jason stepped between us. It's not what you think. Zoe's just helping me set up the business structure. While wearing coral lipstick, the silence was deafening. Linda recovered first. Now you're being paranoid. This is exactly why I told Jason you needed help. That homemaker course would have taught you how to be more trusting, more supportive. I laughed, the sound harsh and unfamiliar. Trusting? Like you trusted Bennett before he gambled away your retirement? Linda's face went white. How dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth? The next day, I met Professor Clark in her office, the bank statements spread between us. This is serious, Lucy, she said, examining the documents. If he forged your signature... He did. I'm sure of it. She leaned back, studying me. You're gathering evidence. Wouldn't you? The question is, what do you plan to do with it? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. We should talk. Coffee? Zoe. Professor Clark caught my expression. Something wrong? No, I said slowly. Something's finally right. That evening, I sat in a quiet cafe, watching Zoe Holmes approach my table. She was younger than I expected, nervous-looking, despite her professional outfit. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I think we need to talk about Jason. About Jason or about ZH Enterprises? She flinched. Both. There's something you should know. As she talked, pieces started falling into place. Jason's late nights, the missing money, the way Linda had been pushing for me to be more understanding. Later, I called Vanessa. You were right, I told her voicemail. I'm not myself anymore. I'm better. When I got home, Jason and Linda were waiting again. This time, Linda held the homemaker course brochure like a weapon. We've enrolled you, she announced. It's for your own good. I looked at Jason, at his guilty face and defensive posture, and felt something inside me harden into diamond. Thank you, I said pleasantly. But I've already enrolled in something else. What do you mean? Jason asked. I smiled, thinking of the evidence mounting in my secret email account, of Zoe's revelations, of Professor Clark's knowing look. You'll find out soon enough. The day Linda moved in, temporarily, was the day my evidence folder became my most prized possession. Every receipt, every bank statement, every suspicious email, all meticulously catalogued and backed up in triplicate. It's just until Jason's new venture takes off, Linda announced, wheeling her designer suitcases into our guest room. Someone needs to keep this household running properly. I bit my tongue and texted Vanessa. She's here. Send wine. The whole bottle, she replied. The whole store. That evening, I found Linda reorganizing my kitchen cabinets. Honestly, Lucy, how does Jason survive with this chaos? He manages. I watched her shuffle my carefully arranged spices. How long is temporary? Why? She turned, eyes narrowing. Eager to get rid of me? Just curious about the timeline, like Jason's timeline for paying back our savings. The spice jar in her hand trembled slightly. A good wife doesn't question her husband's business decisions. No, I agreed. She documents them instead. Before Linda could respond, Jason burst through the front door, face flushed with excitement. Ladies! Great news! Zoe's secured another investor. That's wonderful, darling. Linda rushed to hug him. See, Lucy, this is what happens when you surround yourself with supportive people. I thought about the USB drive hidden in my tampon box, filled with screenshots of Jason's business communications with Zoe. How much is this investor contributing? Jason's smile faltered. Well, they want to see some commitment from existing stakeholders first. Meaning? We need to put in another 50,000. He reached for my hand. Just temporarily, babe. The returns will be incredible. I pulled away. There's nothing left to put in, Jason. You've drained everything. Not everything. His eyes shifted guiltily. Your inheritance from your dad. The room went silent. Even Linda looked uncomfortable. My father's life insurance? My voice was barely a whisper. The money I set aside for grad school? Lucy, Linda interjected, sometimes we must sacrifice for those we love. Something snapped. Like you sacrificed for Bennett before he ran off with his secretary? Linda recoiled as if slapped. Jason stepped between us. Don't talk to my mother like that, he shouted. She's only trying to help. Help what? Help you steal my inheritance? Help destroy what's left of our marriage? What's wrong with you lately? He grabbed my arm. You've changed. You're not the woman I married. Let go of me. Not until you explain. I said, let go. I wrenched away just as Vanessa walked in, wine bottle in hand. She froze in the doorway, taking in the scene. Everything okay here? Fine, Jason snapped. Family discussion. Really? Vanessa's eyes locked on my arm, where Jason's grip had left red marks. Looks more like assault to me. Linda gasped. How dare you? Jason would never. I saw what I saw. Vanessa pulled out her phone. Want me to call someone? That won't be necessary, I said quietly. Jason was just leaving, weren't you? He stormed out, Linda hurrying after him. Once they were gone, Vanessa turned to me. Lucy, this has gone too far. You need to tell him about law school. Not yet. I rubbed my arm. I need more time. For what? More evidence? More abuse? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. She slammed the wine bottle down. This isn't just about revenge anymore. You're in danger. Later that night, I sat in my home office, scanning documents. A shadow fell across my desk. Working late again? Linda's voice dripped with false concern. Just catching up on some things. She moved closer, peering at my screen. I quickly minimized the windows. You know, she said softly, I've noticed you're on your computer a lot these days. Always so secretive. Like mother, like son. Her perfectly painted smile tightened. I'm watching you, Lucy. Whatever you're planning. Good night, Linda. After she left, I pulled out the file I'd discovered earlier that day, a folder of forged documents with my signature on them, hidden in Jason's desk, each one a nail in his coffin. My phone buzzed with a text from Professor Clark. Documents received. Meet tomorrow? Yes, I typed back, and bring the forms we discussed. Another text came through, this time from Zoe. He's asking for more money. What should I do? Keep records of everything, I replied. And Zoe? Thank you. I heard Jason and Linda's voices drifting up from the kitchen, discussing my attitude problem and the need for intervention. Let them plot. Let them scheme. They had no idea what was coming. I opened my law textbook to the section on financial fraud and started taking notes. Some lessons weren't taught in homemaker courses. I never expected Linda to cry in my kitchen at 3 a.m., mascara running down her perfectly maintained facade. "Please, Lucy," she whispered, clutching my hand across the counter. "Jason's in trouble. Real trouble. He needs $40,000 by Friday." "What happened to the investor?" I kept my voice neutral, though I already knew the answer from Zoe's detailed reports. "There was never—" Linda dabbed at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "The platform, it wasn't quite what they claimed." "You mean it was a scam?" "No!" She straightened defensively. "Just complicated. But if we don't get the money, people will start asking questions." I sipped my tea, letting the silence stretch. "What kind of questions, Linda?" "Legal questions." Her voice cracked. "Please, I know we've had our differences, but he's my son." "And I'm just the wife who's supposed to clean up his messes?" "Your family," she pleaded. "Family protects each other, like you protected me, with your constant criticism, your little digs about my inadequacy as a wife." She flinched. "I only wanted to help? Is that why you moved in? To help Jason hide his affair with Zoe?" Linda's face went white. "How did you—" "No. I know everything, Linda. The forged signatures, the embezzled investor funds, the secret account in the Caymans." "You've been spying on us?" Her shock turned to anger. "How dare you? No, how dare you?" I stood up. "You raised him to believe he was entitled to everything. My money, my dignity, my future. Well, guess what? I've been building my own future." A noise from the doorway made us both turn. Jason stood there, looking haunted. "What's going on?" he demanded. "Your mother was just explaining your latest financial disaster." I smiled coldly. "Want to tell him about the crying, Linda? Or should I?" "Jason, darling." Linda started, but he cut her off. "You told her? After you promised—" "She knows everything," I interrupted. "About Zoe, the fraud, all of it." He advanced into the kitchen, face dark with rage. "You've been investigating me. Someone had to. I'm your husband. And I'm a lawyer." The words dropped like bombs in the silent kitchen. Linda gasped. Jason froze. "What did you say?" "You heard me." I pulled out my bar exam results from my robe pocket. "Passed last week. Professor Clark says I have a natural talent for corporate law and fraud detection." "Professor? You've been in law school?" Jason's voice rose hysterically. "All this time?" 3 years. I smiled. "About as long as you've been stealing from me." Linda found her voice. "This is why you've been so distant, so cold. You've been plotting against us, planning my escape," I corrected. "There's a difference." "I'll destroy you," Jason snarled. "You think you can threaten me? You'll what?" I pulled out my phone. "Call Zoe. She's been working with me for months. Those business meetings were her documenting everything." The blood drained from his face. "You're lying." "Check your phone. She sent you a resignation letter 10 minutes ago." He grabbed his phone, hands shaking as he read. "This isn't—" "You can't—" "I can. I did." I turned to Linda. "Still want to discuss family loyalty?" She slumped against the counter, looking suddenly old. "What do you want?" "Want. I want what's mine. My money, my freedom, my life back." I headed for the door. "You have until Friday to transfer everything back. After that, I go to the authorities." "You wouldn't," Linda whispered. "It would ruin him." "Like you tried to ruin me?" I paused in the doorway. "By the way, I never did sign up for that homemaker course. Was too busy learning about criminal prosecution instead." Later that morning, I met Vanessa at our coffee spot. "You finally told them?" she said, studying my face. "How did it go?" "About as well as you'd expect." I showed her the missed calls and texts flooding my phone. "Linda's threatening to tell everyone I'm mentally unstable." "Are you okay?" I considered the question. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel free. "And what about Jason?" "He has until Friday to make things right. After that..." I shrugged. "The law takes its course." My phone buzzed. "Professor Clark, ready to discuss your associate position." "Yes." I typed back, then looked at Vanessa. "Want to know the funny thing? All those years Linda spent trying to make me a better wife, she actually helped make me a better lawyer. Every manipulation, every lie, it was like a master class in detecting deception." "Karma's a bitch," Vanessa said, raising her coffee cup. "No," I corrected, thinking of Linda's tears and Jason's rage. "I am." Friday morning arrived with a thunderstorm and Bennett Harding on my doorstep. "We need to talk," he said, rainwater dripping from his expensive coat. "About Jason." I let him in, noting how he'd aged since I'd last seen him. Karma hadn't been kind to Linda's wayward husband. "Coffee?" I offered, leading him to the kitchen. "Something stronger." He pulled out a manila envelope. "Linda called me." "Of course she did." I poured 2 fingers of whiskey. "Let me guess. She wants you to fix this?" "Actually," he settled into a chair, "I'm here to help you." That got my attention. "Why?" "Because my son is exactly like me." He took a long sip, and that's not a compliment. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed, Jason's name flashing on the screen. 10th call today. "He's desperate," Bennett commented. "The banks are asking questions about those transfers." "I know." I sat across from him. "Zoe provided copies of everything. Smart girl." He smiled grimly. "Smarter than I was. When I got caught, I ran. Lost everything, including my self-respect." "Is that why you sent me those bank statements?" "Someone had to wake you up." He slid the envelope across the table. "And these should finish the job." Inside were documents I'd been hunting for months. Loan applications with forged signatures, backdated contracts, emails discussing the manipulation of investor funds. "Why are you really helping me?" "Because Jason needs consequences. Linda," he sighed. "She never let that happen. Made excuses, covered up his mistakes, like she did with mine." My phone buzzed again. Vanessa, this time. "He's at my house, crying. What should I do?" "Send him home," I typed back. "Lucy." Bennett leaned forward. "What's your endgame here?" "Justice." "No." He shook his head. "That's not all. I see it in your eyes. Same look I used to see in the mirror. You want revenge." "Is there a difference?" "Justice is clean. Revenge leaves scars." He stood up. "Just make sure you're ready for them." After he left, I spread the documents across my dining room table, the final pieces of my puzzle, served up by the last person I'd expected to help. The front door opened. Jason, looking wild-eyed and disheveled. "You weren't at work," he said. "I checked." "Because I don't work there anymore." I didn't look up from the papers. "Started my new job at Clark & Associates yesterday. A law firm." He laughed bitterly. "Of course. Perfect for someone as cold as you've become." Funny how setting boundaries looks like coldness to people used to walking all over you. "Is that what you think I did?" He moved closer. "Everything I did was for us." "Really?" I held up one of Bennett's documents. "Was forging my signature on this loan for us, or just for you?" His face contorted. "Where did you get that?" "Your father stopped by. Seems guilt runs in the family." "Dad?" He grabbed the paper, scanning it frantically. "He's lying. These are fake." "Like the signatures, or like your business with Zoe?" "Leave her out of this." "Why? Because she turned on you, or because she was smart enough to keep records?" He slumped into a chair. "What do you want?" "Everything back in my accounts by midnight. A signed confession about the fraud. And divorce papers." "You'll destroy me." "No, Jason. You did that yourself." I stood up. "I'm just making it official." The door opened again. Linda, because of course she'd come. "Jason? Your father called." She stopped, taking in the scene. "What have you done?" she demanded, glaring at me. "What you should have done years ago." I handed her copies of the documents. "Read these? Then ask yourself who really betrayed whom." "This is blackmail," she whispered. "This is accountability." I checked my watch. "You have until midnight. After that, these go to the SEC." "You were family." Linda's voice broke. "No, I was a convenience, a bank account, a scapegoat for your son's failures." "Please," Jason tried one last time. "We can fix this." "Like you fixed the juice bar, or the crypto scheme, or any of the other disasters I funded." He reached for me. I stepped back. "Don't." My voice was steel. "You have 7 hours. Use them wisely." After they left, I called Professor Clark. "It's done," I told her. Bennett came through. "Are you ready for what comes next?" she asked. "This won't be pretty." I looked at the wedding photo still hanging on our wall, at my younger, more naive self. "I'm ready for anything," I said, "except being that woman again." My phone lit up with a text from Zoe. "Jason's at the bank. It's happening." I smiled, thinking of Linda's tears, Jason's desperation, and Bennett's warning about scars. Some scars were worth carrying. The conference room at Clark & Associates felt like a stage, and I was about to direct the final act. Professor Clark, now just Daphne, sat beside me, reviewing documents one last time. "They're here," her assistant announced. Jason entered first, followed by Linda and Bennett. Their lawyer, a nervous man named Timothy, brought up the rear. The tension in the room could have powered a small city. "Before we begin," Timothy started, but I cut him off. "No." I placed 3 folders on the table. "You're here to listen." "Now, see here," Linda began. "Mom, please," Jason whispered. He looked terrible, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. "First folder," I pushed it forward, "contains evidence of financial fraud spanning the last 4 years. Forged signatures, misappropriated funds, fake investor documents." Timothy reached for it, his hand shaking slightly. "Second folder, proof of unauthorized transfers from my personal accounts, including my father's life insurance money." I met Linda's eyes. "Money that was supposed to be for my graduate studies." "Which you pursued anyway," she snapped. Behind everyone's back. Like Jason pursued Zoe behind mine. The room went silent. Bennett shifted uncomfortably. The third folder, I continued, contains my terms, full financial restitution, a signed confession, and uncontested divorce papers. Or what? Jason finally spoke, his voice hoarse. Or folders 1 and 2 go to the SEC, the Banking Commission, and every investor you've scammed. Timothy leaned over to whisper something to Jason, who shook his head violently. You can't do this, Linda pleaded. We're family. Stop. Bennett's voice cracked like a whip. Just stop, Linda. It's over. Bennett. No. He stood up. Our son committed fraud multiple times. You covered for him just like you covered for me. It ends today. Jason's face crumpled. Dad. Sign the papers, son. Take the deal. It's more than I got. Timothy reviewed the documents, whispering urgently to Jason. Linda sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. If I sign... Jason looked at me. What happens? You repay everything. You admit what you did. You let me go. I pulled out a pen. And maybe you avoid prison. Prison? Linda gasped. What did you think fraud meant? Daphne spoke for the first time. Your son stole hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was going to pay it back, Jason protested. With what? I asked quietly. More stolen money? He grabbed the pen, hands trembling. Will this really stay private? As long as you comply completely. I watched him sign. Break the agreement, and everything goes public. Linda lunged across the table, scattering papers. You vindictive bitch! After everything we did for you. Linda! Bennett pulled her back. Enough! Everything you did for me? I stood slowly. You mean like undermining my confidence? Gaslighting me about Jason's affairs? Teaching him that he could take whatever he wanted from me? I was trying to help. You were trying to control, to mold me into your perfect victim of a daughter-in-law. I gathered the signed papers. Well, congratulations. You molded me into something else entirely. A monster, she spat. No. I smiled. A survivor, and a damn good lawyer. The next hour passed in a blur of signatures and legal terms. When it was done, I had everything I'd wanted. My money returned, my freedom guaranteed, my revenge complete. As they prepared to leave, Jason paused at the door. I did love you, he said softly. In the beginning. No. I shook my head. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. After they left, Daphne poured 2 glasses of whiskey. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I twisted my wedding ring off, placing it on the conference table. Or maybe next year. You know Linda will never forgive you. Good. I picked up my glass. I'll never forgive her either. My phone buzzed. Vanessa. Is it done? Yes. I typed back. I'm free. Another text followed. Drinks tonight? You look like you could use a friend. I glanced at Daphne, who was already gathering her things. Go, she said. Celebrate, or cry, or both. You've earned it. Later that night, sitting with Vanessa at our favorite bar, I finally felt the weight of everything lift. So, what now? She asked. I thought about the job offer from Daphne's firm, about the apartment I'd secretly leased, about the future stretching out before me, uncertain but entirely mine. Now? I raised my glass. Now I live. To living. She clinked her glass against mine. And to never taking another homemaker course. We laughed, and for the first time in years, the sound held no bitterness. The storm had passed, and I was still standing. The last box from my old life sat on my new apartment floor, still sealed. I'd been avoiding it for days, the one marked photos in Jason's messy handwriting. My doorbell rang. Garrett from the office stood there, holding takeout bags. Daphne mentioned you might need dinner, and maybe some help unpacking. I let him in, grateful for the distraction. Fair warning, there might be emotional baggage in these boxes. Good thing I brought wine, too. We settled on the floor, surrounded by half-empty boxes and Thai food containers. Garrett had been my steady support at the firm since everything exploded, never pushing, just present. So? He nodded toward the unopened photo box. That's the last one? The hardest one. Want company while you open it? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. Jason's trying to start another business. Thought you should know? Some things never change, I muttered, showing Garrett the message. You worried? No, not my circus anymore. I reached for the box. Help me with this? Inside were photos spanning 5 years of lies. Our wedding, vacations, family gatherings, Linda's perfectly orchestrated moments of fake happiness. You're not smiling in any of these, Garrett observed, holding up a Christmas photo. Not really. I forgot how. I picked up my wedding album. The funny thing is, I thought I was happy then. I thought that's what happiness looked like. Being quiet, being useful, being whatever they needed. And now, I met his eyes. Now I know what real happiness feels like. It feels like winning. My phone rang. Vanessa's ringtone. Turn on the news, she said when I answered. Channel 7. I grabbed the remote. There was Linda, standing outside her church, being interviewed about some charity event. But something was different. She looked diminished. And of course, we're so proud of our daughter-in-law's success, she was saying, her smile brittle. Jason and I always knew she had potential. She's trying to save face, Garrett commented. She's trying to rewrite history. I turned off the TV. Let her. Everyone who matters knows the truth. The doorbell rang again. This time it was Bennett. Sorry to interrupt, he said, eyeing Garrett. I can come back. No, stay. I introduced them. We're exorcising ghosts. Bennett pulled out an envelope. Found these while cleaning out my storage. Thought you might want them. Inside were photos I'd never seen. Me at law school graduation, hidden in the back row. Me leaving the courthouse after passing the bar. Me having coffee with Zoe during our evidence-gathering phase. You were watching me? Someone had to. He smiled sadly. I knew what Jason was, what Linda had turned him into, what they were doing to you. Why didn't you say anything? Would you have believed me? He shook his head. You needed to find your own way out. I just documented it. I studied the photos, proof that someone had seen me, really seen me, during those dark years. Thank you, I whispered. No. Bennett headed for the door. Thank you for doing what I couldn't, holding them accountable. After he left, Garrett helped me sort through the remaining photos. We made 2 piles, one for keeping, one for burning. What about this one? He held up a picture of me and Linda at my bridal shower. Burn pile. Actually, I took it from him. I'll keep it, as a reminder. Of what? that sometimes the prettiest smiles hide the ugliest truths. My phone buzzed again. Daphne this time. Major case tomorrow. You ready? Born ready, I replied. Garrett watched me texting. You know, I've never seen you happier than when you're working on a case. That's because it's real. Everything before was just performance. We finished sorting the photos, and I closed the box for the last time. Outside, the city lights twinkled like promises. Want to get coffee sometime? Garrett asked suddenly. Not as colleagues, as something else? I thought about Linda's fake smiles, about Jason's empty promises, about all the years I spent performing happiness instead of feeling it. Yes, I said. But first, help me take out the trash. We carried the burn pile to my building's incinerator. As the flames consumed my old life, I felt lighter with each photo that disappeared. To new beginnings? Garrett offered. To real ones, I corrected. Later that night, alone in my new home, I hung Bennett's graduation photo on my wall. My first genuine smile in years captured on film. Below it, I placed Linda's homemaker course brochure in a frame. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's living truthfully. And I was finally, gloriously, free to do both.